So a lot of Nigerians do not understand what climate change is. I mean, they see it as a scam. So how do we break down and explain what climate change is, not in the global light, but to local Nigerians for them to properly comprehend?
Hello guys, this is Diolutube Chukwu from Instagram. I'm the Diolutube Chukwu Prosper. I'm the Executive Director of LINCGREEN Climate Change Initiative. And
hi everybody, this is Creamy Honey from Instagram and TikTok, and then I am the North Central Coordinator at LINCGREEN.
Yeah, what we do at LINCGREEN is very important because LINCGREEN is an indigenous organization, and what we understand, and just as we've been saying, I really don't blame anybody. I don't blame anybody for not believing in climate change. I don't blame anybody for not believing in environmental issues, because we face a very peculiar crisis in Africa.
Actually,
where we have to deal with healthcare, we have to deal with poverty, we have to deal with food, we have to deal with that. You can't be telling a hungry man on the
that he should care about climate.
About greenhouse gas. That's my business. I don't even have food.
I guess.
To cook.
Talk more of greenhouse gas.
Talk more of greenhouse gas. So it's a complex conversation, right? And so what we try to do is to attract, or rather educate through empathy and storytelling. First of all, we're able to identify with everybody where they are. You know, every sector or every part of Nigeria faces climate change differently. For South, we understand climate change from the sense of environmental pollution, flooding. The North understands flooding. The North understands drought. You know, a lot of land issues and all that. And Southwest too understands a little bit of flooding. It affects everybody differently. You know, waste management. In Lagos State, you have a lot of that kind of issue where you have a lot of waste management. I think in Abuja too, you have a lot of those kind of issues. So these issues are, and as I always say, SDG 13, which is climate justice, it's cross-sectional. It's like the big umbrella, but we have pockets of environmental issue from SDG 11 to SDG 14 or 15. It's around the environment. You have life on land, you have life on water, we have sustainable production and consumption, and then you have the climate action. You have so these SDGs are all connected to the environment. You know, and all this captures the climate change conversation. So number one, two ways. First of all, we use storytelling. And I say when people understand the impact, when you show them the images of flooding, you show them the drought crisis, you tell stories of indigenous communities that have been affected by the effect of climate change. You put it before their face. People like stories. See, you know, as intelligent as you may sound, you can speak grammar from today to tomorrow. One simple movie will trend more than what you are. You know, so people connect with stories, and that's why we adopted in LINCGREEN. We do a lot of storytelling, and just like what you do short reels on Instagram. You can just pass your message in 1-2 minutes, and you present it in such a way that you take it one issue at a time, so you don't bombard people. But you use storytelling, enlightenment online, on social media, and that people will be able to understand climate change.
There's something that I get a lot of comments, and some people have reached out to me. They're like, okay, the weather being hot is a natural phenomenon. That how is that relating to climate change? So how do we explain to these people that already have it in their mind that it's not relating to climate change? How do we connect climate change to the weather being hot?
So it's a misconception, and that's where education comes in, and climate science, which is the boring part of climate change, comes in. But you know, it's still relatable, because everybody still complains about increased hotness. So climate change, people confuse climate change and weather. You know, there's rainfall, right? I mean, it is an issue, or rather, it's a natural phenomenon, rainfall. But where it becomes a problem is, for example, if rain falls for 1 day, 2 days, 3 hours, 4 hours, is understandable. But imagine if rain continuously falls for 3 months without stopping, then it becomes a crisis. So the climate on its own, it's a natural phenomenon. Climate changes. You know, I think once every 10 years or once every 15 years, it changes. It's normal. But when you now have the climate change happening once
It's
in 2 years,
unpredictable.
or is not predictable, you can't plan again.
Exactly.
That is when it becomes a crisis. When we have, I was saying it before those days, we have flooding maybe once in 10 years, once in 20 years, once in 30
But now,
years.
nearly five years, there's flood.
Every year, there is a case of flooding. So it's now a crisis. Do you get what I'm saying? I mean, if you put salt in your soup, just for one, we like painting pictures because you understand. If you put salt, is good, right, and it makes the taste of the food
Sweeter.
come out. But when you pour the food back,
you can't eat the food again.
A crisis.
Yeah.
So climate crisis is a crisis because the climate is changing more frequently and more unpredictably. There is higher volume and frequency of rainfall. The water level has risen, causing more frequent flooding. The temperature now, greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is making the temperature hotter. So we have more intensified heat. So now we have more frequent wildfires everywhere and all that. So it becomes a crisis because it is excessive. So people confuse it too and say, look, it's a natural
weather, climate.
Just remember the analogy I gave about the salt.
The salt.
There is,
when you put the whole pack of the salt in the food, it becomes too much and you cannot eat the food anymore. So speaking of this greenhouse gas, especially carbon, so a lot of Nigerians, they would hear, oh, carbon, greenhouse gas, but they don't really understand what this greenhouse gas is, and they don't understand how carbon affects humanity, because that is CO2. I mean, and that is what we breathe out. So they don't understand why this is bad. Something that we breathe out, how can it be bad for us?
And see, these questions, they are scientific. It's good we talk about it because I try to simplify the science of it, right? The world was supposed to function, or is supposed to function in equilibrium. Right, our body system is designed to function in equilibrium. If you eat plenty food without defecating or
there's a problem.
There is a problem. If you pass out too much,
there's also a problem.
There is a problem. So it's a balance of it. When the world was created, right? Well, however knowledge or belief we have about creation, there was this equilibrium. When people kill animals, they rear animals. So as you die, you
give birth to children.
So there's a balance of it. When population began to increase, we now began to have an unbalanced scale. That you are having more consumers than producers. So and that's what informs scarcity. When you have more demand than there is supply, there is scarcity, and that leads to economic crisis. You can still use that knowledge
for this
CO2 and greenhouse gases. Of course, everything we do, we produce those gases. In fact, just by breathing, every human being has their carbon footprint. But when our environment is structured in a way that it cannot capture or capture more carbon, or
there is
the
not
same
enough
level
carbon
of carbon
sinks.
There's not enough level of carbon that is captured compared to the
one
carbon
that is going
released.
out.
So you have more greenhouse gas in the atmosphere than oxygen, and that's where you now have that issue of imbalanced system, and it now becomes that's why we talk about tree planting. You know, the tree takes in the carbon and brings out oxygen. So normally you're supposed to have very good vegetation, but the problem with climate change started from industrialization. Rockefeller cutting down trees, and then you're now producing crude oil produces enormous greenhouse gas, CO2. You're now industrial. Exactly. So we have all that now made the whole thing. I don't know if I broke it down enough.
Yeah, you did.
Exactly. Now makes the whole thing imbalanced. So that's where we have the problem of balance.
Speaking of carbon footprints, a lot of people just say carbon footprint. Some persons actually care. They want to reduce their carbon footprint, but they don't actually know what is carbon footprint and how they personally can contribute or they can reduce their own carbon footprint. So how do you explain to a layman, this is what carbon footprint is, this is how to calculate your carbon footprint, and this is how you can reduce your carbon footprint?
Okay, so, right, at LINCGREEN, if you check our website, and we have an article on carbon footprint calculation. It's a full mathematics that I will be boring if I start going into it, but it's a simple thing. What carbon footprints mean is that how much carbon do you as an individual emit, which is as a result of a lot of factors. What kind of fabrics do you wear? Is it carbon friendly? You know, how much power do you consume
in your
and
home.
in your home.
Some people even say smoking contributes
yes,
to
exactly. How
your
much carbon do your waste management culture, do you use more of recycling, and so we have, in simple way, we have 3: reduce your wastes, reduce your wastes, and recycle your wastes. So they call it the 3 arrows.
Use your waste, reduce your waste, and recycle your waste.
Exactly. So they call it the 3 arrows of waste management. So if you now begin to look, okay, every waste, can I reuse this? Instead of buying a new water bottle, can I reuse it?
This one.
Do I have to throw this away? Instead of always going to market and collecting new nylon bags, can I use the one I used yesterday?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So with that, you are reducing the amount of nylon bags. These things are non-biodegradable, right? That you use. So you have reduced your carbon footprint. You have reduced your waste. There's also a case of, must I always drive? If I'm going to buy something here, can't I just walk? Can I use more of a bicycle or stuff like that? Many of these things are ways you yourself as a person can reduce. On www.wedon'thavetime.org, you can. There's a place where you can calculate your carbon emission, and these are simple questions. They will ask you, how frequent do you travel, how many miles do you drive to work, all those kind of simple questions. If you can now consciously begin to, if a meeting is not so important, you can do it virtually. So these are the practical ways to reduce. Instead of using kerosene or firewood, why not just use CNG gas? It's more cleaner, and those are the little things you can do to reduce your carbon footprint.
I know a lot of people would have understood better what carbon footprint. So carbon footprint is basically the amount of carbon you as an individual emit, and it is very important for you to reuse your waste, reduce your waste, and recycle your waste. So when we do these 3 things, we are innovative, like we're reducing our carbon footprint. Just by doing these 3 things: reduce your waste, reuse your waste, and recycle your waste. Okay.
And that's what we do around climate education in the communities that we visit. So let me ask you questions too. So Hauwa is our coordinator in North Central, and we have a very robust team in Abuja, very strong people. And if you're in Abuja, if you're around the North, you can volunteer with us. You can send us an email or send us an Instagram message. She's doing a very great work. I mean, if you follow her, you know that there have been days to drag her a lot because climate change is controversial, or it's not supposed to be. And so most times I look at her, I'm like, because you have a lot of followers, and I'm like, how are you doing this thing? How are you able to, go through all these trolls? And so I want to ask you particularly, I know when you approached me that, you want to go into climate change, and what inspired that? What did you see? I want it to be as natural as possible and as sincere as possible. What inspired it initially? And are you the same place you were when you started volunteering with LINCGREEN?
Okay, I don't want to say right from when I was little, I always had a problem with waste. Whenever I see people passing with their cars and throwing waste. So it was kind of like the norm. I mean, almost everybody is doing it, but I didn't see it as normal. I had a problem with it. And then growing up, I noticed that for some time, the weather gets hotter. I remember when I was little, I used to tell my mom, last year was not as hot as this year. Do you understand? She'll be like, oh, that's natural. So I knew that there's always a scientific explanation to everything. Everything is not just, in quotes, natural. There's always a scientific explanation to it. So I started doing research, and then I learned about climate change, greenhouse gas, and then I started reading more about it, and I stumbled upon your page on Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, like this is somebody that is actually very knowledgeable in a field that I want to be knowledgeable. So I reached out. I'm like, okay, I would like you to mentor me, because I know where I want to be, but I don't have a direction yet. So I want you to help me to find my direction. And I mean, I cannot say I am in the same place that I was. I think it was February. That was when we started. February, that was before I turned 19. So I'm really not in the same place. I mean, I have taken courses, Green Hub, UNITAR. I've taken some courses that you actually advised me to take, and I am a lot knowledgeable now in the whole issue of climate injustice, climate change, and sustainability, and just transition. Yeah.
Amazing. So how did you deal with? So there was. I mean, let me go through some of the. So like we have some interesting comments.
Yeah.
That I want to, and as I said before, right? We don't have problem with skeptics. So you posted one something on Instagram. You said, "Do you believe climate change is real?" And it was like
A poll, yeah.
A poll, and 68% said climate change is real. 32%, which is a lot, said climate change is fake. So somebody wrote, "I wonder who put you up to this." So many of these guys, they sound like they're your parents or they're your father. I wonder who put you up to this. If sea level should rise 1 inch, do you know that some island will be under the water? Like where? So this guy apparently doesn't even believe that sea levels are rising at all. Right? And somebody else said, it's a normal thing in nature. Yeah, climate change might be true in reality, but cannot be avoided, and the earth undergoes certain procedures to clean itself. So somebody believes that
the earth cleans itself.
Climate change is cleans himself. Somebody said, while I was in secondary school, it was ozone layer eating up. Now in 2010, it has become global warming. Now it's global boiling. With direct energy weapon, not everybody is dumb enough to believe this garbage. So when you see, so somebody wrote again is that there is no climate change. Now you create the universe. I once heard the ancient story telling people that the earth will be filled with water one day because of rainfall. That is exactly what climate change story is. Now scam.
You know the funny part, when you see these people talk or text, they always think they are the smart ones.
Yeah.
So people who study meteorology, they believe that these are foolish people.
Yeah.
People who.
So you see. I responded. I said we love skeptics, and the truth is that me too. I was a skeptic at one point.
Yeah.
Until I started visiting communities, and I said you challenge us. You challenge us to broader conversations, because when you listen to them, and honestly, I have one guy that I really like. He's a skeptic. He doesn't believe in climate change, and I like talking to him because he asks relevant questions. That when one thing about Nigerian leaders is that they don't like accountability. Any leader that is afraid when you challenge them is a bad leader. The person doesn't, because why should I believe you? Actually, you have to be able to prove your point. And prove it in a meek and humble way. That look, see, we have seen this. We are open to learning more, but from what we have seen, from what we know, this thing is real. Right? And most times I tell people that, look, you might not understand the concept of climate change until you visit communities
that are affected by climate change.
I'm ready to, like, if you are a skeptic, come, let's go to Delta State, let's go and listen to, let's go to those Isoko South, Isoko North, and let's listen to those people that stay in coastal communities.
So
let's listen to the farmers. Do you know
when we started talking about flood, and then I gave an example that what happened in Sokoto recently, the person was like, oh, it is the dam that got filled. What made the dam to get, like,
why are the dams
why are they filling more frequently?
In 2022, dam is filled. This year,
dam is filled again.
Everything is relating to the fact that the water level,
the sea level is rising.
The sea level is rising, and that's a major challenge. So the rain is falling with higher intensity now. So any small rain, you see that everywhere is flooded. Any little rain, everywhere is flooded because of the intensity of water on the ground and above. So we have it. But I love skeptics, and I understand skeptics. Even most very intelligent people in the society are skeptics. And there are some people that still believe till today that Buhari was Jubril of Sultan, that they cloned him. Especially.
Oh my God!
And there's still some people that believe that some diseases are, that look. You can go. There are some people that believe that every musician is Illuminati. Everybody.
Those ones.
To Satan. If I wear a cloth now that there's cross, they say yes, he has gone to collect something. So, and they have their point. So they will prove. They will show this. Your hearing now. They will tell you. They say this is brotherhood of the star. Look at how the thing is. Look at that, and the way she laughs. You put her hand like this. So they will snap peace. And you know that there are people that really believe these things. Recently, there was one guy that came out and said our minister of Abuja slumped and died and is in the hospital. And a lot of people believe that story. because the media is a space that people don't verify facts.
Yeah. As long as something trends, they believe it's true.
Exactly. There was one image that was trending somewhere that, and me too, I fell for it too. I posted it in somebody, and I wrote it that even United Nations posted this video, only to realize that this was AI. Like, you know, it showed one zebra. The zebra was in one mountain, and people were trying to bring it out of that. But I was wondering, number one, how did the zebra get here?
Inside this mountain?
But a lot of people believed it, not knowing that it was AI generated. So people, skepticism is it's and social media travels fast, and this age of information is a very dangerous age because everybody believes they are right. And most times I tell people that where did you read that climate change is a scam? There are millions of materials that scientifically proves that climate change is real. There are millions of materials that
so you know the biggest shock I got this year, I was talking to somebody new and he was giving me points and prove why the earth is flat. And I'm like, okay, I used to see movies that people believe the earth is flat, but I didn't believe
human being that
exists.
Like that. See, if you know what people believe in, if you know what people
so
believe,
I can't even bring the issue of climate change to somebody like that.
Do you understand? So and it's there's what we say, all things are lawful but not all things are expedient. What it means is that you don't have to be always right, right? But some things are not necessary. Some arguments are not necessary, and I try not to. And in the entire conversation around, because I did peace building around conflict resolution, there's what we call common ground approach.
Yeah.
And what the approach is that you don't have to believe what I believe, but we can meet at a common ground.
Yeah.
So I asked, do you believe that the environment needs to be protected? Yes. Do you believe that oil spillage is real?
Bad, yeah.
Or is bad? So yes. Do you believe that it's affecting the Niger Delta region? Yes.
Yes.
Do you believe that coal fire and all these gases that is coming out of they are not good? Yes.
Even when you perceive them, it's not pleasant.
Do you believe that the oil that is affecting the water has polluted the sea and is making fishes to die? Yes. It's a common ground.
Finished.
We are brothers.
Exactly.
My brother, you believe in climate change?
Yeah, you don't have to put the English the way I'm putting the English. That's it.
And that's where wisdom now comes in, and a lot of climate people or advocates must learn the common ground approach.
Yeah.
Everybody believes in climate change, but they might not believe in your grammar.
Yeah.
They might not believe in your explanation.
I think this word climate change,
yes.
it scares them.
It scares them. So it's like people don't want to believe in what they cannot. So that's why I usually tell us in Nigeria, let us contextualize it. We might reduce the use of climate change and use more of environmental protection.
Yeah.
Some of my friends, we came together and said, look, let's stop using climate change. Let's start using environmental protection. Let's use I'm an environmentalist or environmental rights advocate. Everybody knows that. Look, if you don't protect your environment, it will affect you. You know. Recently, somebody was saying something that, look, with this heat now, I have a tree. I have trees around my compound, and I used to feel the cool breeze. And they say it's practical. Everybody, okay, so that you will not be sweating in the night. Plant
more trees.
You don't have to call it greenhouse gas. You know, you can just say, look, see how you are sweating like Christmas goats. If you have trees, your compound now.
And a lot of people agree that natural breeze is better than AC.
So
so plant more trees.
It's a common ground approach, and if we can use that common ground approach, we'll gain more grounds. We don't have to be fighting ourselves. And so I like if you're a climate skeptic, God be with you. I mean, it's great. I mean, me myself too, I don't believe everything I read, right? And I understand that there's a kind of Western narrative that may not be completely true. There is greenwashing, and which is the fact that a lot of corporations are just trying to put green in front of everything and greenwash us and make us feel like they are sustainable, and it is not mathematically feasible. It doesn't make any sense. Recently, I was arguing with somebody, not really argument. I raised the point of a technology. Like it's almost like the person used like 5 plots of land to create, and in that 5 plots of land, you will cut trees. Do you understand? To create a machine that captures 4 tons of carbon daily.
Only 4 tons.
So I now asked, I said, can you tell us the carbon footprint of this
machine that is capturing the carbon?
And globally, we have about 50,000 plus 50 million tons of carbon emitted daily. and you are capturing 4 tons, and you have used
cut
5 plots of land. Your manpower that are working for you, what are you using to power the big man? You see one very big
and
machine.
maybe it even runs on diesel. Or
Exactly. There's no enough energy to. So you are using 10 tons
to capture 4 tons.
So, and that's the argument I'm now saying, that look, solutions should be mathematical. See, me, I read statistics, but I've looked at it, that if we cannot measure progress mathematically, then what we are doing is greenwashing.
Yeah, then there's no progress.
If we cannot say, look, Nigeria is emitting 100 tons, and through the NDC's implementation of this nationally determined contributions, or we can say the energy transition plan has, and a lot of what I have an issue with our policies around climate change is that it is not smart. You spoke something about smart in one of your posts, which is not measurable. It's not it's not specific. It's just vague. By 2020, Nigeria said by 2030 we want to stop emission, we want to stop producing fossil fuel by 2025. So they now say okay, by 2060 we cannot do 2030 again. I say this. Tell us the how. Don't tell us the what.
Yeah.
You need to tell us what's your plan. What plan do you put in place?
And how individuals can contribute.
Yes. What are these your policies? How does it address? What's the mathematics behind it? How many tons of carbon? So we need to now be mathematical in our approach to carbon. Like we can be able to, because that's the only way. If we say, okay, this is my innovation now, factoring all the carbon footprints. This is how much, and that's where climate skeptics used to attack us, because they will say even your renewable energy, your solar panel, the entire carbon footprint that you use from the lithium exploration to the putting together those batteries, all the carbon footprint is so much. And in that argument, I tell them about sustainability. Yeah. I tell them you have a point, but in the long run, if I use 80 tons of carbon to produce this, and this thing can be sustainable for another 50 years. And I'm saving, you look at it in terms of sustainability, in terms of duration, rather than that instant carbon. You can have that argument because you can do forecasting. You can say, this 80 tons that was used to produce this, in 5 years, I would have saved 1 million tons. We have to be mathematical in our approach to solving climate change. I have sense of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I mean that's it. So how do you usually feel when you see those trolls? They say a lot of nasty things. Yeah. I don't know what's with this generation and trolling. It's hypocritical.
I feel many of them are not fulfilled in their personal life. So so that's what I try to in a way empathize with them, and I stay away from negativity. So I focus on positivity, and my sisters they can testify to this. When I'm seeing comments, I'll just be laughing. Like, see this one, let me block him ASAP. Like if it's something too much that I do not like, I can delete the comments, or I rarely block people though, unless it's somebody I know that is, because something happened recently. I posted something, one of my old friends started saying a lot of nasty things in the comment section. So I blocked that person. Because if it is a random stranger, it is a different case. This one, you know me, and you cannot come out and start saying this amount of nasty things about me. So I just do not focus on negativity, focus on positive things.
And I wonder how somebody is talking about environmental pollution and you're not attacking their personal life. Or, and it's a low belt fight. And it's what a lot of this generation have learned to do, cancel culture. That they will leave the issue you're talking about. And start talking about that girl that you toasted. How or they will now be talking about your ex-boyfriend.
Do you know there's one I got when I was talking about, it was a climate related issue. The man said, your body hair is more than my beards. I'm serious. I'm like, what? How did you even see my body hair from the video? I'm like, what is going on, Nigerians?
So, it's the cowardice of trolling. Yeah. Many of them are cowards because they can't sustain intellectual conversation. So they look for and that's
things that are not significant, and they focus on.
They feel can we pay
and you know, a lot of Nigerians like those insignificant because people were liking the comments, replying to his own comments, and were ignoring what I was saying.
That's the danger of this generation. Somebody was telling me, the guy was talking about carbon footprint, and the lady said, He said your hair is too bushy for what you are saying. and you know, when they say you can't shame the shameless, I've gotten to a point in my life where, look, there are weightier matters. I've seen people dying.
Yeah.
Do you get? What's my business?
Exactly.
You have data and shit.
Exactly.
You are, if you don't, this
as
guys
long
are
as
not,
you listen to what I'm saying, so
you know,
I mean,
so what's my business
what's
with
there?
you and your opinion of me? People say these short idiots. You know that concentrate on growing height.
Oh my
people are
God,
wicked,
subhanallah.
you just see some kind of funny things.
Yeah.
And, you know, you just need to separate yourself.
Yeah.
And I used to say, if you're not ready to take backlash, you cannot be great.
Exactly.
You must be
Especially in the social media,
yes,
please.
you should be able to separate issues from persons.
Yeah.
You know, this is the issue. Leave the person. And it's just sad that a lot of times people go after because they know that this thing appeals to the algorithm.
Yeah.
When they just how you said, if somebody insults me now, it attracts more
people.
It just shows how shallow this our generation is becoming. People are not deep again. People, you know, people just very.
Another way I try to like deal with the whole negativity online is, I know who I am. I know, like, my impression of myself is stronger than any comment anybody can have. So it's when it's when I'm doubting myself that their comments would hurt me. So when I know I will just laugh about it. See this one.
No, see, self-esteem is important.
Yeah.
A lot of people go to social media for what they say accreditation. For what's the word?
Yeah.
You want them to
like you.
And it's a problem. If you want to do it, somebody said if you want them to like you, sell ice cream. Nobody has a problem.
Do you know exactly? I was speaking with a girl recently. She was like, oh, she looks up to me. That how do I make videos? How am I not shy? And then I asked her a single question. Whenever you finish uploading a video, do you watch your video? And she said, no, I hate my voice. I'm like, that's why people don't watch your video. I am my number one fan. I will watch my video 10 times, like my video, comment, save my video. Honestly. What is it?
So I also, a lot of people that have worked with me, they know this, LINCGREEN people, they know that you can't praise me. I'm not, like, I appreciate your accolades, but I do not look for it. Exactly. So most times when I finish a conference, I'm looking for the next thing to do. I don't stay in my, whether positive or negative. Because when you are so keen to see who likes you, how many likes,
so the negativity gets to you. The
negativity will get to you because you are too self-conscious. And if you are so self-conscious, you can't be a good advocate because I know that one day I may do something that's like, I'm not a perfect person. Yeah. Right? I may have an imperfect relationship. I may go to somewhere and eat anything. When I become popular, people say, see this girl advocate. Look at how he's eating like Malu. And they will post it and something. Or I may lash out at somebody I'm not supposed to. I may have an outburst of anger that may just eat you. I know that if you want to be great, people will be ready to film those your moments of imperfection. But the only question I'll ask you is, how does this affect greenhouse gas?
Exactly.
It doesn't affect greenhouse gas in any way.
It doesn't concern me so much. Quite a very interesting conversation, and I believe a lot of Nigerians who did not understand carbon footprints, who did not understand climate change, would have a better understanding now by watching this short, wonderful video.
Yeah. Secondly, let's talk about Abuja.
Yeah. So we are having a cleanup in Gwarinpa, 3rd Avenue, Abuja. This area is one of the dirtiest places in Abuja. And it's not very fair because there are lots of fast food being sold there. I can name some famous fast food, Chicken Republic, Tastia. They're close to this place, and it's really very unhygienic. So we at LINCGREEN, we have planned to clean up this place, and then we need collaboration. So if you're willing to collaborate with us physically, virtually, financially, we are open to any form of collaboration for this Abuja Gwarinpa cleanup. So we're going to put the flyer and then you can reach out to us on our social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, or TikTok now, and Facebook at LINCGREEN_.
Yeah. So LINCGREEN Climate Change Initiative on Facebook, LINCGREEN Climate Change Initiative on LinkedIn, on Instagram, LINCGREEN underscore on Twitter, which is X,
LINCGREEN underscore.
We'll put all that on the screen for you to check out. We also have a very look our Abuja cleanup, very interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
Fine, popular Hauwa, you meet me too, and a couple of volunteers that work with us. We're working with government agencies too, and a lot of stakeholders, and we'll have fun. We'll do sensitization. We'll do climate work. We're going to really, there'll be food. So we're going to, and
we'll play because people like playing. We'll play.
It's going to be really interesting. We're also planning to have a hangout for climate advocates around this North Central region, which we're working towards this year. We have our yearly conference on the 5th of June every year. Last year we started Look Beyond Oil conference. It's a campaign, but the conference is always World Environment Day, and this year is going to be crazy.
So it's in Port Harcourt.
Yeah, it's in Port Harcourt, but then we'll stream it online. It's a hybrid conference.
So maybe since it's June, maybe I can even come down.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, why not? Of course. Anybody that wants to come from any state can just we'll tell you, we'll show you how much flight ticket is. But yeah, I mean, of course, we make arrangement for some from our team members to come from outside Port Harcourt, but it's going to be in Port Harcourt and it's hybrid. Last year we had over 3,000 streams on YouTube.
Wow.
We had 300,000 Twitter engagements. 300. Like, I was shocked when I saw the algorithm. And physically we're about almost 200 people in the hall. It used to be very interesting. And this year we're going to have top people. We're going to have people like Dr. Nkuruka. I mean, these are proposed speakers. Some of them have confirmed, so some we're still in the process. We're going to have Professor Zabi of if you've heard of High Prep, he's in charge of High Prep. We're going to have Dr. Obuzo. We're going to have Greta Thunberg, the famous face of climate change. We're going to have, of course, Igna Redshog of We Don't Have Time, CEO of We Don't Have Time. Of course, we're going to have Abietara, was powerful last year. You know, she's the founder of Waterside Community. That girl is doing crazy stuff. We are going to have B Lord. For those that are in the crypto space, you know B Lord. He's now bringing in renewable cars, solar cars, and the guy is doing crazy work. He's a young billionaire and he's doing massive. We're going to have people like Olalade. We're going to have the current SA to the Senate President on climate change, which is Kai, my guy, my friend. And we're going to have a lot of top people, many people. We're going to have exhibitions, businesses that are green businesses. So it's usually very fun. 4 or 5 hours of fun. We have break time, we have networking time. We have people from Ministry of Environment. Last year, River State government was represented. You know, this year too, whoever the government will be in River State,
oh my God,
they already sent word to the governor. But now that we'll have to still River State's Wahala, right? But we'll definitely have government represented. We'll have regulators, because we have panel session, and that's the highlight of Look Beyond Oil conference, where we ask these people direct questions. Oga, how far? Why are you guys not doing this? What have you guys done so far? And Look Beyond Oil conference is a very practical conference. It's not we bring all the players, people from communities, young people. We ask questions, and those questions now informs our conversation. And so we look forward to it. We'll keep you posted, and so follow us on our pages and check out our website for the things we've done and things we're doing. Have big documentaries on our YouTube page. We have a lot of documentaries there that you guys can always watch, and just follow what we're doing. If you want to volunteer with LINCGREEN, whichever state you are, we have our Southwest team. Lagos, they are doing a lot of work around sensitization. Last month they did sensitization in the secondary school in the mainland. We're working on one next month in the island. So our Southwest team is very strong. So if you stay around Ogun State, around Lagos, Badagry, anywhere around Lagos environment, you can connect with Nene, who is the coordinator of our Southwest team, Nene or Naji, any of them. And then of course, if you are in the North Central area, we are working on a project in Sokoto. We're working on a flood awareness campaign in Katsina, Kaduna, and all those states, Zaria, and then Sokoto too. We're working on something, and we are at the forefront of that with our volunteer here, Mr. Mohammed and Hauwa too. And if you want to partner with us in any way, just reach out to us, and you can chat any of us. privately online. Peace
Yeah.
out.
Peace.
Thank you guys. See you guys in the next episode of LINCGREEN podcast. And yeah.
Bye, everyone.